Okay, in this video, I'll show you guys how to do a simple drag and drop into multiple columns. But not only that, you can also sort it. So like if I put Harrison BUTKER in between Biden and your mom, it actually works, right? I move your mom between Israel and Palestine, it works. It also works in this column. I'll put Palestine on top and so on. It's actually very, very simple. So let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the HTML. Very simple. I have 5 divs, and that's these blue columns right here. The draggables are true. P tags and all of the containers have the class of box. Very simple CSS. Use the select none with 20%, so it's more responsive, and so on. I'll close the CSS. Let's write our JavaScript. And we can do this within I think 35 lines. All right. First of all, I selected all of the items. That's all of the names. And then all of the containers as well. Current drag item is null, and closest next element is also null. And we'll talk about these later on. Okay, first things first, let's work with the items. So all the items are all the names, dot for each, and then we get access to each of the items. Let's open this up. And then to do proper drag and drop, all the items need two things. Item dot on drag start. This is going to be equal to a function that does something. Okay. And then the second thing we need is item dot on drag end. And this also does something. Okay. So what does on drag start do? Well, the first thing it does is that it's going to set the current drag item to the keyword this. Now, notice we're inside of the for each loop. So this will be equal to the item that we're currently trying to drag, right? Because when you put an event listener using not arrow functions like this keyword will refer to the HTML element that the listener is put on. Okay. All right. And then we need to do set timeout. And I'll go over why. Set timeout, and then you can use the word this again. So this dot style dot display is equal to none to make it disappear. And we use an arrow function here so that the this keyword inside still refers to the current drag item. Okay. And we need to use set timeout because if we don't, this code is synchronous and it won't work correctly. And I'll show you why later on. Okay. So same thing for on drag end. But we're going to do the set timeout and set it back to block. Okay. And then we got to reset our current drag item back to null. So what this means is that every time we click and we start dragging, our current drag item will be equal to this element that we're dragging. Once we drop it, it resets to null because we're not dragging anymore. Okay. On the left, we can see that we can kind of drag, but it's not really dropping yet. Okay. All right. To handle drop, it's actually pretty easy. All we need to do now is do the same thing with the boxes. All boxes dot for each, and then we get access to a box, and then we open this up. Now, for drop and drag or drag and drop to work properly, you also need a few things. Box dot on drag over. Okay. And then I'll use an arrow function here, and we need to do e.prevent default. Okay. Now, we need to do this because we need to do box dot on drop. And on drop does not work unless you have on drag over, and you need to use prevent default. Okay. I'm not sure why that sounds kind of retarded, but that's just how the way it works. Okay. So on drop, I have to use a regular function here, since I'm going to use this later on, I think. Okay. And we need to do the E here. Now, let me do alert e.client y. All right. So I drag Trump. I put it like right here on top. I see that it's 29. Okay. So this 29 means, hey, it's 29 pixels from the top of this border to wherever you dropped it. If I drop Biden all the way down here, you see it's 517 because that's the bottom, right? So we have access to e.client y. we can now use this to determine which one is the closest element when we try to rearrange this, okay? And we'll go into detail just a little bit later on. Okay, let's go to the next step. Now, the next step is const not drag items. What does this mean? Let's say we're on the first column and I click on Philip. Okay, I want not all drag items to be all of the other names that I did not click to drag, right? And I need to do this because I need to check their heights and offset heights, which we're going to do right now. But how do we do this? Well, first of all, you can do this by doing the spread operator, box.children. Okay, so this will grab all of the elements inside whichever blue box that you're trying to drop it on. Okay. Now, just in case you are dropping Philip in the same column, right? So you need to unselect Philip. That's why we need to use filter. And we can only use filter if it's a true array. That's why I use the spread operator to turn the node list into an array. Then we'll dot filter down here. Dot filter item, and then we're going to return where the item dot inner text is not equal to the current drag item dot inner text, just like this. Okay, and then now we can do const next closest element, and this is going to be equal to not dragged items, so all the names except the one that we clicked dot find, right? The new ES6 method, which returns the element itself in an array. So what is it trying to find? Well, it's going to try to find the element where our event.client y, which we talked about, is less than or equal to what? Well, less than or equal to, let's call this, instead of val, let's call it item. So it's more readable. All right, so it's less than item dot offset top plus item dot offset height divided by 2. Now, this might seem really confusing, but let me explain it. So here's an image. Offset top, like this is the item we want. The offset top is the space between the item and its parent's container div, the height. That's offset top. Offset height is the height of the item itself, including the borders. Okay. So how this works, let me show you. If I move Trump, like right here, right? This is half of Israel and it's on top of Palestine. So our dot find is going to say that, hey, you're dragging Trump, and when you let go, the e.client y is actually in between Israel and Palestine. So Israel is the, Palestine is the closest element. So it will put Trump before Palestine. Okay. And then let's see. And then after this, we can simply do box dot insert before. And I think I don't remember the order. I'm just gonna guess like this. Okay, so insert before, not drag. Not this current drag item. All right, let's see if it works. If I move Philip all the way to the bottom, it works. All right. Okay, let's see. Let's make it turn green so I can say current drag item dot style dot border to px solid green. All right. So now if we move your mom right here, it turns green. I can move her between Biden and Philip. I'm going to move Philip between Israel and Palestine, just like that. Okay. And then now we can go back to here, item on drag end. And on drag end will always run after on drop. Okay. So on drag end is the last thing to run. And then I'll use another set timeout. And I'll make this, let's say, 600 milliseconds. And this, we change the this.style.order back to 2px solid red, like this. So if I drag Harrison Bucher in between here, it's green and it turns red, green and it turns red. Okay. And that's it. That's actually all that we needed. Let me close all of this, right? It's about 30 lines. That's cool, right? And you can move it anywhere. I can put Israel in between. I can put Palestine in between here. I can put Trump on top. I move Trump to the bottom. I move everything over here. And everything works perfectly. Okay, hope that was helpful.